Good morning, folks. We are 2 minutes away from the new episode of Secrets of the Sire. We talk comics, movies, TV, music, pop culture at large. Welcome all our Periscope peeps. You guys can totally jump on at any point, join the conversation. There's no way Deadpool should have made... Yes, Saints Girl 878, welcome back. Movie was okay, but we'll get into that. We're going live on talkingalternative.com. I saw it last night. It was excellent. We'll get into it. So, going live, talkingalternative.com. Welcome to all our returning folks. We'll get the Periscope peeps in there as well. Is this fun, right? You can still...
Yeah, you can...
Yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah.
Going hot.
Good morning on a beautiful Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on talkingalternative.com. We are Secrets of the Sire, talking about comics, movies, TV, music, and pop culture at large every Friday right here, talkingalternative.com. Had a big show planned, still have a big show planned, but had a big Walking Dead show planned because Walking Dead has returned. However, there was a small, tiny indie flick that made it into theaters this weekend that blew up, and figured it would be a great opportunity to address that and give my take on this little small project called Deadpool that ended up taking in $135 million at the box office at the holiday weekend. You know, every once in a while you have a radio host that goes on a limb and he makes a bold prediction. And is proven absolutely right. I mean, if you've been following my blog the last 4 weeks, I've been saying nothing but great things about Deadpool. It's the next Guardians of the Galaxy. It's going to do huge. So, once again, I was 100% correct. I don't know what folks are reading saying I said it wasn't going to do well, saying it had no shot. Sam, I don't understand. I mean, I literally, I mean, you can go on the podcast archives on iTunes, type in Secrets of the Sire. I believe it was episode 2, and I mean, I sat here weeks ago and said, yeah, it's gonna blow up. It's gonna be great. Sam is shaking his head as he knows I am fibbing. Yeah, no, I went on live a few weeks ago, and I just had my reservations, and I said, I just don't know what it's gonna do, and that's something that essentially, I want it to do well. I wanted it to do well. I didn't think it was going to do $135 million, and I'll tell you why. To this day, honestly, I don't even know how it did as well as it did. So I did manage to catch it. It's a good movie. It's a fun movie, no question. Ryan Reynolds was born to play Deadpool. The movie itself, though, if you really break it down, kind of should have made around $65 million, $70 million. Their budget was around $58 million. It's a very niche movie. For a movie that is so widely accepted, I mean, if you really, really break it down, there's a lot of inside jokes. There's a lot of inside fan jokes. There's characters we've never heard of. There's obscure references to other X-Men movies, which, again, were awesome. I thought the one scene where he says, Colossus says, we have to go see the professor. And Deadpool goes, McAvoy or Stewart, these timelines are so confusing. Awesome. These are all little awesome things. And for the diehards out there, it's, that's just gold. The love story was, I guess, where the mainstream audience was supposed to jump in on. I loved Monica Baccarin, or is it Morena? Morena Baccarin. She was fantastic. I thought Ryan Reynolds, obviously, he was born to play this role. He wanted it. He coveted it. So, there's no reason to think that he wouldn't have done a great job. And again, fun movie. Should it have made $135 million? I'm still shocked that it did. Let's break it down in a couple different ways. One, the movie takes place in 4 scenes. I mean, there is just basically 4 scenes to this entire movie. Maybe 5 if you count the bar. I'm actually kind of counting the... So let's go break it down. We have the highway. We have the aircraft carrier at the end. We have Weasel's bar. We have Xavier's mansion. If I'm missing any... And the lab. The lab itself is the 5th scene where Deadpool is actually created. The one cool part about the whole movie that I thought was actually pretty inventive was how he gets created and what this lab was actually doing. And Sam needs to cover his ears. He hasn't seen it yet. And again, for anybody who hasn't seen it, well, don't stop listening. I mean, that would just be silly. Just I'll try to keep it as spoiler-free as possible, but as best as possible that I can do. So the lab where he's created, I thought was the most inventive part. I thought Colossus looked a little, I mean, go look at him in X2. I know they had a huge budget for X2, but, I mean, they have special effects. They have, Negasonic Teenage Warhead is blasting things and blowing stuff up. I mean, you would think they could do a little bit better. Colossus, I mean, he looks like Schwarzenegger with body paint, wrapped up in... he honestly looks like a kid's talent show. You're at a high school, talent show, and they need to, bring Colossus out on stage. That's kind of what he looked like. I'm not sure where they put the $58 million that they invested into the movie. I know how much they invested in the marketing, and we'll get to the marketing in a little bit, but Colossus itself, not generally that impressed. So, first of all, took place in 5 scenes, which I actually applaud. It's actually an indie movie. I mean, if you really break it down, it's an indie movie, takes place in 5 scenes. Awesome. Very creative. The jokes were good. Some were laugh out loud funny. Some were wink, wink, nudge, nudge funny. Ryan Reynolds in general, I love. It was kind of like Van Wilder being in a superhero costume. So, hey, I'm all about that. I think that's fantastic. But again, it was just a nonstop barrage of jokes. And again, Deadpool's character is this, so I'm actually not even criticizing that. I thought that a couple weird moments in the movie where I'm kind of sitting there saying, why is Colossus condoning Deadpool chopping guys' heads off and stabbing people, and meanwhile wants him to be a hero? Not sure, Deadpool came in, as a villain. We all know this. Came in New Mutants 98. Deadpool also, eventually became an anti-hero, a reluctant hero. I mean, again, he became popular, so they needed to make a series for him. So they made a series for him, and you can't necessarily have him, you could do a Punisher-style series, but at the end of the day, you can't necessarily have Deadpool as a likable, hero in a major picture going off and being a bad guy, which is essentially what he was. But that being said, I can't understand Colossus would condone, not just condone him killing people. Bad guys, sure, they're bad guys. I get it. But then wanting to invite him to be an X-Men, it just seemed a little silly. Look, these are minor little things that I had with it. It was a fun movie. It was a cute movie. It was kind of everything I expected it to be. So for it to make $135 million, the only explanation I can really give is that we made it happen. That's right. By me going on the air 4 weeks ago, only my 2nd episode, apparently I have huge sway. I mean, I must have enraged the masses across the world to rally behind this movie. So that must be it. There's nothing else. There's no other way to describe it. Secrets of the Sire is responsible for making Deadpool $135 million. It's not the marketing. It's not the fan base. It's not all the peeps who have been begging for this movie. No, it was us. It was us. Okay, so let's talk real quick here about how it really kind of made it, because I think that's an important breakdown. Every week, every Wednesday, we hit the blog, and this week's blog was going to be all Walking Dead. This was going to be a huge Walking Dead extravaganza brought to you by our sponsors at Sports Tech. They're the proud sponsors of Secrets of the Sire. Unlock your golf game through the ultimate hands-free golf tool that can tell you everything you need to lower your score, improve your swing without the need for a clubwort or moving devices. Go to their GoFundMe page, gofundme.com/sportstech, and sponsor them. You can earn some cool swag and be on the move to the top of the line when the product launches. So be a part of something special there. So we were going to do a huge Walking Dead, and we're still going to talk about Walking Dead show today. But again, Deadpool was just huge, and we have to break it down. So instead, on Wednesday of doing a Walking Dead blog, I decided to do the 3 reasons that Deadpool was a success. I already spoke about one reason, was us, clearly, enraging the masses that they didn't even know that they wanted to see Deadpool, and they did. But number one was the marketing. Number one reason was the marketing. It was ridiculous. Between the NBA Christmas ads, the shots of Ryan Reynolds on bearskin rugs, the marketing department at Fox deserves, all the credit. And essentially, from what my insiders tell me, the marketing budget was bigger than the actual budget for the film. It was right around the same, don't get me wrong, but it was still as much, if not slightly more expensive. And look, it paid off. It created something. It created a buzz around a movie where, this is an obscure character. This is a cult character. So in that regards, the marketing was huge. Everyone knows that. An interesting article I read, though, actually kind of explained it in a different way. There is something out there called the superhero fatigue. Oh, yeah, Periscope people as well. Find me on Periscope people. You can at Michael_Dolce. You can chime in as well. Can't deny it kicked ass. That's right. It was definitely a lot of cool action in it. But there's something going on called the superhero fatigue factor. Okay, so Forbes magazine actually published this article, and I read it, and I thought it was actually really interesting. Deadpool gave fans something different, thwarting a situation known as a superhero fatigue. Basically what that is that there are so many comic book / superhero movies out there now that people are looking for something different. The R rating, how many R-rated movies are now going to come out thanks to this movie? Which again, look, it's a treat for us. It's a treat for our fans. My cousin last night, we were watching the movie, says Wolverine 3 is now rumored to be the next R-rated movie that Marvel comes out with, which, hey, would that be awesome? Yes. Absolutely. Would it be awesome to see Wolverine slicing and dicing people up in real-life fashion? Absolutely. But again, the bottom line for Deadpool, it gave fans something different. This is not really, they kept tailoring it as, I'm not a hero, but I'm going to act like a hero, because they're worried. You could tell. There's studio executives saying people don't want to see a bad guy running around chopping people's heads off and be the main star of the film in a superhero universe, but they do, and Deadpool kind of gave them that, and that's something that ultimately led to them scoring big at the box office. And again, the number one reason that they did well is we totally said it was not going to do well, and I like to own up to my mistakes. We got a great show coming up. We are live on YouNow, which is also streaming to YouTube. And one of these days I'll figure out all this technology. It's not an easy thing for me, multitasking. We've got Periscope peeps chiming in. Saint Girl 878 has been a loyal Periscope follower. It's been really, really great. It's been really great to interact with. Definitely chime in. Let me know what you think. We'll be talking Deadpool for the next segment. And then we'll switch over to Walking Dead. Walking Dead, I have a Twitter poll. Is it the best TV adaptation from a comic book source material on the air right now? So coming up, more Deadpool, switching over to Walking Dead, Secrets of the Sire.
Cool.
Welcome, folks. Welcome, folks. Ah. It's so funny, too. I gotta... especially with that movie, I had all these notes kind of like in my head, but I got to organize them a little bit better going through, because there was just so many things to break down in that movie.
Yeah. I always thought he looks like Spider-Man.
Yes. Periscope peeps, hit me up with some comments now. We're in the commercial break. I will be glad to read them on air.
By the way, you know what you have to do now? You have to turn your baby into a little comic book character. Like a little superhero, you know. What was the... There was a baby superhero. Not superhero, but there was a baby comic book character when I was a kid. He used to use this blue blanket to, like...
Which one is that?
I can't remember. Going hot.
Welcome back, Secrets of the Sire. We break down comics, movies, TV, music, and pop culture at large every Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern, talkingalternative.com. We have a call-in number, too, so if anybody would like to call in and comment and rub it in my face, that would be awesome. I love it. I bring it on. Look, I was wrong. I definitely was wrong. I had an industry insider by the name of Jeff Gomez. He is a transmedia specialist. He's like the authority in transmedia. He's going to be on in a few weeks. We're going to do a shared universe topic discussion. Not multimedia, not taking a character and going into multimedia, but instead doing, but what he actually specializes in is transmedia, something that is something people don't necessarily know. How do you create a shared universe? So he actually emailed me over the weekend and just said, "You're usually spot on. How did you miss this one?" And I said, well, to be honest with you, I just did. There's no explanation. You, the fans out there, chime in with us. If I'm stuttering or sputtering, it's because my wife and I just had our first baby, son James Michael. He was born Saturday night, 6 pounds, 14 ounces. Amazingly, I'm sleeping, but I'm not quite there. I think that's the best way to describe. So if I am stuttering or sputtering. Speaking of upcoming events as well, we've got a really awesome event happening the end of March. We are teaming up with the guys from Bad Coyote Funky, kind of tackle similar playground that we do. Interested in comics, gaming, movies, and TV shows. Check them out for everything you actually care about without the saturated fat of news fluff. I'm just fat, period. At badcoyotefunky.com and join them for live gaming sessions at twitch.tv/badcoyotefunky. We're going to be doing a joint podcast show Thursday, March 24th. I'll be joining them on their podcast live. We're going to break down Dark Knight Returns and how it kind of impacts Superman Batman. We're going to be talking about Superman Batman on both the podcast and my show the next day. I'm going to have some of the gentlemen down here live at the studio, and we're going to go through that. And then we're also going to break down the cardinal sin of movie trailers. Do movie trailers give away too much? So that's kind of cool stuff happening. But back to Deadpool. What I would say when it comes to the detractors of me, I can take a joke. I can take a comment. I can admit when I'm wrong. And in this particular case, I was. We had some of our Periscope peeps who were chiming in, talking about, did the movie kick ass? I saw it twice. I had some people tweet me saying, so about that, ... you know what? I'm actually happy. Again, at the end of the day, I am a comic book fan. I am a guy that wants these movies to succeed. I'm a guy that has been living and breathing this stuff for 20 years of my life. Actually, I guess 25 now. Oh my God, I'm getting so old. This is no good. It's just no good. Chime in. Oh, and we got no spoilers. Yes, unfortunately, it's a week old now. So in movie terms, that's a huge gap. I'm going to do my best not to spoil it, except for that part where he lands the spaceship. That was crazy. And the aliens at the end, what was that all about? Sam hasn't seen it either. Sam's my engineer. He has no idea that I am fibbing, and that there were no aliens. There was no that scene in the zoo that I was talking to him about. That didn't happen either. Don't worry, we are as spoiler-free as humanly possible. We're on Periscope at Michael_Dolce. We are on YouNow, younow.com. We're also streaming, hopefully, live on YouTube. It tells me we are, so that would be great. Go look up Secrets of the Sire. And again, if you miss any of this stuff, you can catch the podcast on iTunes every Monday. Just type in Secrets of the Sire. Go to iTunes or any of your podcasting software, and you can download the previous episode. We got chime in from Periscope. Does he die? If you know anything about Deadpool, you know that he kind of can't. I guess he kind of can. Saint Girl 878 at Periscope also had an awesome comment earlier in the show, which was, did you expect him to blast laser beams from his eyes or shoot laser beams from his eyes? That's a reference to Wolverine Origins, which actually had Deadpool. It had Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool in the movie, and what a god-awful movie that was. Difference between Deadpool and Wolverine Origins. Actually, that's a terribly phrased comment. The difference in both movies were technically successful. Wolverine Origins it beat its budget. The character's insanely popular, but boy, was it critically panned, and well-deservedly so. It was an awful movie. Deadpool was the central villain, or turned out he was the central villain. The only good part about that movie was Gambit. I thought Tyler Kitsch played an amazing Gambit, so kudos to him. But boy, what a terrible, terrible movie that was. Deadpool was a lot of fun. It was an indie movie, though. I mean, that's the bottom line. This really, it shouldn't have done as well. I'm still like, I'm in shock. It would have been successful. I could see that. Let's compare it to another movie, though, that kind of came in, I don't want to say under the radar, but was an under-the-radar comic book, which was Guardians of the Galaxy. And we actually talked about that in the previous blog post and the previous show a couple weeks ago. And I actually thought, okay, it had the makings to potentially be a Guardians of the Galaxy in the sense of it's an obscure comic book character. It actually has much more of a fandom than Guardians did, because no one read Guardians of the Galaxy. I read the Valentino run back in the 90s. I thought that was really cool. It was really awesome. The book, though, that it was based off of for the movie, that was an obscure reboot a few years ago. It was like a mini-series. It was. So for that to have been as huge as it was a complete shock. So Deadpool and Guardians of the Galaxy kind of line up. They're kind of similar in that sense. But I thought the fandom of Deadpool, the cult fandom, was actually going to be its downfall. It was going to be too wink, wink, nudge, nudge. It was going to be too in your, too like, hey, I got to appease the fans, so I'm going to alienate some mainstream casual moviegoers. But it turned out not to. Guardians actually had a huge budget, though, and that's kind of the huge difference between Deadpool and Guardians. And that actually kind of makes what Deadpool did this weekend even more impressive. I mean, could you imagine? This thing had a $58 million budget. It had Ryan Reynolds, who, he's on every magazine cover everywhere. People magazine, Men's Health. I mean, the guy's pretty ripped. I mean, there's no question about that. My wife and I both are pretty impressed by seeing him with his shirt off. I mean, me, I'm a little more envious. She's a little more, whatever. But he kind of flopped in Green Lantern. Again, his original Deadpool was, yes, my wife just actually chimed in on Periscope with a bunch of hearts, smiley faces with hearts in them. Yes, I'm not jealous. I am not jealous. You have my baby. You're not going anywhere. He had been in Deadpool. He had been in Wolverine Origins as Deadpool a few years ago. So that, also critically panned. Green Lantern, critically panned. He was in Blade Trinity. A lot of people actually liked that movie. I thought it was okay. Thought it was good. He hasn't really, Van Wilder was his creme de la creme of movies. That was his movie that. Sam shaking his head. Van Wilder was was one of those DVD favorites in college in the early 2000s, where he basically was Deadpool going to college without any superpowers, just the ability to kind of do whatever he wanted to, kind of like an Animal House for the 2000s. That was again where he really, really shined. Was in that movie. So it's not like he was a big star, big celebrity. He was a celebrity, but never a big star. It only had 2 X-Men characters in it, of which Deadpool actually makes a great fourth wall comment about, which I thought was actually really hilarious. All the makings for a movie that would, again, kind of come under the radar, but makes it way more impressive than Guardians. Guardians had over $100 million budget with Marvel. It has the luxury of being a Marvel Studios movie. I mean, that's something we haven't talked about either. Fox with the X-Men is hit or miss. I mean, we have X-Men, which actually kicked off the comic book movie phenomenon. That is like, I guess you could technically say Blade, and we'll talk about Blade in a little bit. You could technically say Blade kicked it off in '97, but truly X-Men in 2000 was the kickoff of the, hey, people actually want to see these movies if you make them really good. Renaissance that we're kind of experiencing now. X2 was by far the best X-Men movie, I thought. Actually really kind of had Bryan Singer cut loose, but then you had the god-awful Brett Ratner X3. First Class was nice. It was a cute movie. It was kind of like a, hey, remember us, we're not that bad, kind of movie. But ultimately, then you'd have Days of Futures Past, which kind of brought it back. It was another good movie. But again, X-Men movies can be hit or miss. It doesn't have the luxury of a shared universe where Deadpool, kind of fits into that shared universe. We're kind of seeing it now a little bit, which is kind of cool also. But again, all these great reasons to kind of really celebrate what they did with this movie. And at the end of the day, I guess the ultimate resolution to this is that the reason it did so well is exactly the reason I said it wasn't going to do well. It's because of the fans. Fans wanted it. Fans clamored for it. Ryan Reynolds wanted it, clamored for it. He probably leaked the test footage that got the movie made. He's saying he didn't. Tim Miller, he might have done it. He's saying he didn't. I don't know. Whoever out there braved the risk of releasing test footage to get this movie made, kudos to that guy or girl. But ultimately, the fans are the ones that I think are the reason it's doing as well, or did as well. I had a comment from a friend of mine who said that there are people that have Deadpool tattoos, have never read a single Deadpool comic. There are people that are Deadpool fans simply from the cosplay environment of conventions. So ultimately, the $135 million is a testament to how far-reaching this character has gotten. Ultimately, if you look at people in general, they have like Wolverine tattoos. Wolverine is one of those characters that just everyone knows and everyone loves, and even before the movies, just kind of knew him and loved him. Turns out Deadpool is also one of the same. We have some people chiming in. You can always email my inbox. It's mike@secretsofthesire.com. You can always reach out to us. We always love getting feedback. Coming up next, though, why isn't Deadpool bisexual? Well, actually, hang on. I'll answer that question right now. Why isn't Deadpool bisexual? I'm trying to phrase this as to not give away any of the good jokes in the movie. But if you've seen the movie, there is certainly a particular scene with Morena Baccarin that left my head scratching a little bit, but gives hope to anyone out there in Periscope land and in Internet land the possibility that he could be bisexual. I mean, he's pansexual. Maybe that's just what he does. All right, coming up next, we're going to switch gears a little bit. We'll be taking your comments, so please chime in. Mike@secretsofthesire.com, and you can email me. You can go to our Facebook page /secretsofthesire.com /secretsofthesire, and chime in with your comments and questions. I'll definitely answer them. But coming up next, we're going to talk about Walking Dead. Is it the best adaptation of a comic book out there right now? Is Deadpool better? We take your calls, your emails, your tweets, your Periscope comments next. I'd like to rub it in your face. If I said the other day I haven't laughed at so hard in a movie in a while. Okay.
Do you have? I've never saw the Wolverine movies. I'd love to. Do you have copies of them?
I don't.
Oh well.
I don't. I can get them for you though. I mean, they're pretty easy.
Yeah.
All right, I have to do my Twitter poll now. Hello, Periscope peeps.
I didn't even know Blade was a comic book until like years after it came out as a movie.
That's kind of the thing, though, too. It was one of those like comic books. Movies were so panned because of Batman and Robin back then. Actually, we can talk about that when we get back. I think that's a great thing to do.
And also, since you're talking Walking Dead, about the difference between comic book TV shows and comic book movies, like this different expectation. Going hot.
Welcome back. I don't think we're even going to get to Walking Dead today. I think we've got too many people chiming in on Deadpool, and I love it. That's what I want. I want people chiming in. I want people to kind of give me their opinion. On Twitter, my handle is @Michael_Dolce. Craig @ManCaruso said it wasn't that great. I gave it a B-. I gave Deadpool a B-. I thought Deadpool was a lot of fun, but ultimately it was an indie flick. That's what it was to me. Calvin McAlby, I hope, KW